Hello and welcome to Jelcade Bird Sanctuary, one of my favorite places in Dundee, Illinois. Peaceful, open, and full of life. As you walk through the sanctuary, you start to notice how much history lives here. This land used to be a quarry, and you can still see traces of that past if you look closely. The educational signs throughout the sanctuary are actually one of my favorite features. They explain how the quarry was restored, how the wetlands were rebuilt, and how wildlife returned. You can stop at each sign and learn something new about the land, the plants, the animals that call this place home. It's a reminder that nature can heal, especially when people put real effort into the restoration. One of the reasons I love Jelcade Creek Bird Sanctuary is the wildlife. Every visit is different, and you never know what you will see. You might see a red-winged blackbird calling from the trees. Or you might see some sparrows lined up like little musicians on a branch. Then you'll see herons standing perfectly still in the shallows. And of course, you will see swans moving majestically and gracefully across the water. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you will see a hawk sweeping across the sky looking for its next prey. Or, if you're quiet and looking close enough, you'll see a coyote wandering by the tall grass or past majestic trees. There's a rhythm to the sanctuary, a kind of quiet conversation between birds, wind, and water. There's nothing complicated about the paths. They're simple, quiet, and easy to follow. But every time you walk them, you end up noticing something different. The landscape starts with those wide stretches of warm golden grasses. In fall, everything feels calm, almost still, like the land is taking a deep breath before winter. The colors are shifting from soft yellows to rusty browns, and the light hits the top of the grasses in a way that makes them glow. So from the very start, you can see how open this space really is. The horizon is long, and the trails curve so gently. You start to see pockets of water, like ponds tucked between tall grasses. And milkweed pods that have burst open with seed fluff tangled in the wind. They're dried plants holding on to the last bits of summer. And if you look close enough, you might catch a small bird hopping on the path, blending in with the dirt and grasses. And if you pause long enough, they'll look right back at you. You'll also see little pockets of texture of color that you miss while you're rushing. Sometimes the tiny seeds tell the best stories. A seed pod split perfectly down the middle, or tangled stems catching the afternoon sun. There are areas where you can see uncontrolled burns, blackened soil, patches where everything has been cleared back. It looks harsh at first, but actually it's part of how the sanctuary stays healthy. The burns make room for new plant growth and keep the ecosystem balanced. When you stand at the edge of a burned area, you can see the contrast between what's cleared and what still stands. It reminds you that nature is always cycling, growing, fading, renewing, and repeating the patterns over and over again. As the trail opens up, the sky suddenly becomes this enormous part of the landscape. It feels like the land and the sky meet without anything in between. Some days the clouds stretch out like brushstrokes, wide, dramatic patterns that look almost painted. No matter where you stand, the sky feels bigger. Then right in the middle of all the warm earth tones, you sometimes find a single tree that stayed bright red just a little longer. It feels like a surprise. So the trail weaves through more burned areas, each blending into the next. You just start to see the fire shapes of the land. And as you move farther along, the landscape gets textured again. Dried seed heads, branches catching the afternoon light, and stretches of tall grass swaying in the wind. This part of the sanctuary is quieter. The plants are a little taller, the trees a little closer. You start noticing colors you didn't expect. Hints of red, soft purples, and a silver shine of dried leaves. It's the little things that make the sanctuary feel different every time. And as you get closer to the tree line, everything feels more grounded. Huge older trees that seem to anchor the whole space. Their branches twist and reach in ways that make you wonder how old they really are. The light starts to change as you look over the wetlands again. Sometimes the sun hits the water just right, turning everything gold. Other times, long shadows stretch across the field and you feel the day slowing down. It's the kind of place you don't have to try to relax. It just happens. And by the time you reach the end of the trail, you feel that you've stepped into a quieter version of your day. Again, clouds stretch across the entire horizon, long sweeping stripes that again look like brushstrokes. The sky is so bright and open that it feels like it could go on forever. It's peaceful, it's simple, and it's just open. The grasses catch a little more sun and suddenly the colors feel warmer. The shadows get softer and everything looks calm in a late day. There's also something comforting about seeing the same view from different angles. And as you walk through here, everything again feels different. The water is shallow here, so the reflections look smooth and silvery. There are dozens of birds across the surface, tiny dark shapes scattered everywhere. You don't hear them much from the distance, but you know they're there moving and feeding. Other times it's calm enough to see the mud and plants below. It's always different depending on the wind. Ducks swimming together, dipping their heads in the reeds. You see the ripples they make spreading out into the circles. It's such a small thing that adds movement to the quiet scene. After seeing so much sanctuary, the birds, the trails, the water, and the open sky, you reach a point where everything becomes quieter. The trees feel older here, sturdier, like they've been watching the land longer than you have been alive. The way the branch curves, the way a shadow falls across the trail, the fallen leaves gather in little pockets. At one spot, there's an area that almost feels a little quiet, like a quiet rest point. Simple, nothing fancy, but makes you feel like the space is saying, hey, stay in touch, you don't have to rush. This sanctuary feels more open and reflective. You see the land spreading out, peaceful, steady. Jekyll Creek Bird Sanctuary is just a place to visit. It's a place to reset. That's the feeling you always carried home